Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
What's going on, travelers? It is Ricky Venters and Marlon Madden, and we are back again for another episode of the Success Journey Show, where we go through the behind-the-scenes story of individuals that are on their road to success. Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing today?
Man, I felt some love. I've been feeling some love because what's going on is, we took that little break from, between seasons, and, people were like, yo, what's going on? You guys not putting out a new episode. And I'm like, oh, then you go check on iTunes. And I'm like, oh, snap. There's a lot of more reviews and, there's a lot of different things. So I'm like, okay. I'm feeling a lot of the love and support that's been going on out there. And I just encourage you guys to keep on doing it, because even when we're doing it, we're not saying that we're doing this for likes, follows, and subscribers. However, what that does for us, that actually propel us or push us into the spaces we need to be in order to get this positive message around. So keep on doing that for us, and appreciate all the kind words and all the pat on the back and pat on the head and pat on the ear, whatever you guys have been patting, and and telling us that we're doing a good job.
Yeah.
Brother, how you been doing?
I'm good, dude. I'm good. Everything is good on my end, man. My boys, they had been away for quite some time this summer, and they're getting back here and getting reacclimated to home. So bringing the home training back after being with the grandparents. Okay. Yep. I see it over there. Oh man, are we gonna release the new logo and the new stuff? Right? Oh man, there it goes right there, man. Journey wear. We've been getting the shirts. And people are like, man, we love the shirt. Thanks for sending them. The quality is just amazing. And the bags, the bags came too. Okay, yep.
Yeah. Hey, we got some bags coming in with the logos, with our actual logos and the actual website coming in. I was trying to surprise you with that, but I guess I just
got the whole world at the same time, right?
Yeah, man. Man. I can't keep a secret from Ricky, man.
But man, it's fun, man. This is fun, just being able to share this with people, and people be able to support us. Not just us, but this mission that we have here to get to the world of showing people that they're not alone on their journey. That's it, guys. That's what we're trying to show you, that you are not alone on this journey. There are people here that have similar stories as you. There's people here that are traveling with you. And those low times when you're like feeling like you're going to give up, turn on this podcast and listen to a story that speaks to where you are at that moment. And that's our aim every single time we get on here, right? And it's just amazing because it's bringing us to different spaces, and we're able to tap into different people. And we're just excited about where this is going, dude. And we're just excited. So overall, man, I'm good, man. I'm in a good space. Just ready to get it on, man.
Rick, I'm telling you, it's so today, and I know everybody know now we pre-record. So today we had some things that happened that it's just great when you pick up that phone and you call somebody, or somebody tells you, hey, call this person, talk to this person, because I think you'd be good in the terms of what you're doing, and we need you over here. And when you call that person's just willing to say, hey, I just want to bring you out to the world right now. And we're like, hey, yeah, let's put some more things together. And sometimes you have to be telling them, hey, we're ready to go out there, but we want to come at a holistic passion. We want the synergy of our company to actually be very lucrative or conducive to the people that we're being presented to. So that's great. People, we're still doing the real estate thing. Listen, everything comes with its ups and downs, right? Everything comes with up and down. We're putting together that introduction to our docu-series that you're gonna be seeing coming out. That is gonna be, I think that right there is gonna be, because a lot of people are asking to see what's the behind the scene between Ricky and Marlon. And a lot of people, you're seeing the people's behind the scene, but then they're like, how do a guy from Jamaica, a guy from New York, he joined the military, been separated, Ricky on this side, all these different movements, and you guys still able to come together and formulate this thing and make it run how it's running right now, and even just doing it 2 years, over 2 years now, right? Whew, wow.
Yeah. Over 2 years, dude. We get ready to hit the 3-year mark.
Yeah.
So we get ready to hit 3. Yeah, for real. We get ready to hit 3 years.
December. Wow.
Yep.
November, December timeframe.
November. Yep.
Wow,
Dude, consistency, man. That's what it is. All right, everyone. Man, just like every single week, we are coming to what we consider the best part of this show, and that's where Marlon and I bring on a guest, and we just talk to them about the behind-the-scenes journey to their road of success. And today we have none other than Pierre Quinn. Pierre, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Why don't you share with our travelers around the world? We call them travelers, our guests, our listeners around the world, just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so grateful to be with you on this journey, catching up with you and just sharing a bit of my story and my take on success. And I live at the intersection of strength assessment, culture building, and relationship development. Now, if you had to put like a title on it, man, I really struggle with that. Sometimes the categories like motivational coach or motivational speaker. I own my own consulting company. I do training and development. But I really see myself, man, as a bit of a leadership chaplain. I think that's a phrase that a friend of mine threw around a couple of years ago. And after having spent 7 years in congregational leadership as a local church pastor, I'm finding in the marketplace, when I coach leaders and executive teams, I'm finding that head and heart transformation is not just for religious and typical spiritual places, man. It's for wherever we live, work, and play. So I see myself as a leadership chaplain of sorts.
Oh man, love it, man. So there's a lot that we gotta unpack in there. Our travelers here, as he mentioned, he said, hey, I spent years pastoring as a shepherd. Tell us about that a little bit. Tell us about where you are now, but tell us about that journey and what made you decide to go into that direction and then transition out of it.
Man, how long do we have on this episode?
Yeah, right.
I say in many ways I'm the quintessential church kid. And for a lot of people who grow up, especially in the minority context related to church, if you're a male in church, in a church environment, and you can speak well, the attribution is you should be a pastor.
Pastor,
like,
yes, sir.
Like that's just what everybody says.
Sir.
Right?
Yes, sir.
So that fell my way. And elementary school all up into high school, that was sort of the common theme from family and friends. You should go into pastoral ministry. But by the time I got to college, I was like, nah, I'm good on that. I don't really want to do that. And by the time I really settled to what I wanted to do in school, this is my junior year now, I say this is how I rationalize this. I said, what's the closest I could get to pastoral ministry without actually choosing a major in religion or theology? Mm-hmm. So I chose communication. I think that's like the cloak. Like, wow, you got to talk to people. You got to be able to explain things. You got to be able to have conversations. And ultimately, I did undergrad and grad in communication. And in grad school, I started teaching introduction to public speaking, human communication, interpersonal. And I thought for a while I was going to be a professor. Then I got a really good job. I got a really good job making a pretty decent amount of money for myself and my family, my young child at the time. We only had one at the time. But something about the job, something about the experience didn't quite set with me. So I went back to school for what? Theology. Go back to school. I go to theological seminary. I spend 3 years there. I get my old job back teaching. And after the end of 3 years of finishing my Master's of Divinity, the chair of my department in which I was teaching, the communication department, said, "Hey, would you stay here with us? Will you stay here with us? Be a teacher. We'll help you get your PhD." All of that. I said, no, I did 3 years of studying to be a congregational leader. I'm going to go pastor somebody's church somewhere. I didn't hang out in school for 3 years for nothing. So she says to me, okay, well, can you give a final lecture? Can you distill down your philosophy of teaching and learning and your experience and your journey in one final lecture.
Mm.
And I said, okay, cool. I'll do that. And I gave that final lecture, that final presentation. At the end of it, someone else in our, who was in the audience, about 100 or so people, an assembly of sorts. One of the persons in the audience said, hey, have you ever thought about becoming a professional speaker?
Mm.
I said, no, I thought about becoming a professor. I thought about
Yeah.
a pastor, but professional speaker, nah, not really. And she said to me, well, you should, because you're really good at it. So I spent that summer watching every webinar, every YouTube video, downloading every PDF. I mean, whatever it is to become a speaker, that's what I was just consuming, all of that free content. The same that we do today. We're downloading every webinar, watching everybody's stuff. And I did that for a summer. And at the end of the summer, I had no idea, still had no idea how to become a speaker. So, you know, I go that summer, I start my pastoral career, and my pastoral career and speaking, training, coaching start at the same time.
Oh, wow.
At the same time. And I'm in Bowling Green, Kentucky, a town of about 60,000 people, swells to about 100,000+ on the weekend because it's a convention sports town. And I'm trying to figure out how to lead. I understand higher education because I've been doing that. I've done that for so long. I understood fundraising and development. I worked in advancement for several years. But here in this space with these people in this smaller town, part of me had to start from scratch and figure out, you know, who I am and what I contribute and what the leadership journey looks like for me. And man, I tell you, there were nights that I literally cried because nothing that I wouldn't say nothing, but a lot that I had done from the study portion of the previous 3 years had not prepared me for this intersection of people and time. And restarting to learn again and start a new journey. And I did that in Kentucky for 4 years, and then transferring to Maryland, and I pastored a church, a much larger church, for 3 years before transitioning ultimately to full time in my own consulting firm.
Man, so you know, it's funny. Well, it's not funny. You know, some of the comments that you said resonated with me. You know, coming from, like you said, the church background and having that, you know, ability to go up there and lead AYS, or and people that hear it and know what we're talking about and know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Or do, hey, we're going to do a youth day and we're going to have you speak for youth day, or you know, all these different things. And it's like, oh man, yeah, you're going to go into theology? Like, is that's where you need to go? And not only that, they have your whole thing mapped out for you, and it's not just one person. It's like 5 or 6 people telling you need to do it. And you know, so I can imagine when you went into you said you went to the corporate world, and it's like it wasn't what you thought it was. You said, let me go back to school, and you went into theology. Was it, and you kind of referred to this a little bit, but I don't want to go back to it. Like, do you believe it was just at that point of decision where you were just like, man, maybe they were right. Maybe like this is it. Theology is that space for me.
I mean, I can say this now because there's nobody that can fire me, right?
Yeah, right.
I leveraged so much of my first graduate degree, master's in communication. I leveraged that throughout my entire second master's.
Yeah.
That's what I leveraged when I was a student pastor. That's what I leveraged when I was leading outreach trips. That's what I continued to leverage when I was teaching. And by this time, I wasn't just teaching at my alma mater. I was teaching at another school as well, teaching business communication to adult learners. And, you know, I remember teaching Indiana University South Bend campus. I was teaching there, and I was there for the whole semester. And I never told anybody that I was in school for theology. I remember the end of the semester, one of the classes, they were asking me, so what do you do? I said, I teach this class. What do you mean? I said, no, this is like one class. Like, what do you do? What do you do? I said, I'm actually in school to be a pastor. And everybody in the class says, yep, that makes sense. Why did you say that makes sense? They said, you've just been so nice to us, so kind, so patient. This particular, let me tell, I don't tell this story often, but this was like worst is not the correct adjective. One of the most unique teaching experiences. I was teaching primarily adult learners that could not get along that semester. They were doing group projects, and one person, because they were director of this on their job, knew this other person because they were coordinator of this on their job. I know how this is supposed to run. I know how to give presentations.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
And I'm watching these adults. I'm just sitting there watching these adults like, this is so hilarious. And I remember in part of the business communication course, I remember their final assignment was they had to give a presentation to an actual company. So they were supposed to learn about a company, do some research on helping to improve this company, and then give a recommendation based on the company's communication. And that was supposed to be a presentation. And I remember the group that had the worst time together, they bombed. They bombed in front of the company.
Wow.
And I didn't save them. I just let it go. And then at the end of that night, where it was a handful of companies and nonprofit organizations and professors and people who had come to listen to this presentation. And at the end of that night, they were crying. And they were saying, we see how you tried so hard to get us to work together.
No,
we're sorry. We're sorry. We disappointed you. We disappointed each other. They apologized to each other, and it was one of those, like one of those moments, those transformative moments. And I said, how would this moment have been different? And it's so crazy thinking back on it, because I really haven't processed it like we're doing right now in real time. How would this moment have been different if I had a negative disposition toward them? So you fast forward all of these years later, and there were some things in my theology experience that, especially like the pastoral counseling piece and all of that I continue to bring forward. But all of these years later, it's still the same work. I go into organizations, the great majority of the time, it's a team that is not getting along for whatever reason. This person is director of this, and this person is coordinator of this, and this person has been at this organization for the longest time. And when we come in and we have these conversations about reality, and you see what's really going on in people's heads, in their hearts, you see some of those same apologies and realizations. So in a sense, I've always been crafted to be a chaplain for the marketplace. And I think what the theology degree did for me is more so help me solidify my personal spirituality and faith journey. That was more for me, not necessarily for the congregations I was supposed to lead, and preparing me now to, in effect, minister to people in the marketplace who, like, we don't have to say amen. There's no chapter and verse, but there's head work and heart work that happens on their journey.
Yeah.
And you there's two, Ben, just that story alone, I guess you're a good pastor, because just that story alone.
Depends who's telling it, man.
You should be a pastor. So just that story alone brought me into a space that helped me to think about something. A lot of times, and you're consulting and talking to people and trying to transform people thinking. You had a classroom of people that we'll say was already full in their eyes. I'm already full. I already know what I'm doing. I already know what I'm doing. How hard is it to transform somebody, especially in your space, how hard is it to transform somebody like that into thinking different? And even on the entrepreneurial side to say, hey, you could leave this 9 to 5 and go out and do something else. Have you ever experienced those kind of things and had to sit down and talk to somebody? Just give some experience about that.
Yeah. So let's talk about the difficulty piece first. There's an Italian philosopher. I can't remember his name, but I remember the idea. And the idea is called the anti-library, the anti-library.
Mm.
He came with this concept of the anti-library. He had 2 huge libraries in his lifetime. And his idea was, I need to surround myself with more books than I could ever read.
Mm.
The purpose of it is to keep you humble and to keep you hungry.
Yes, sir.
There's more books than you can ever read. It humbles you because, like, in the grand scheme of things, you really don't know that much.
Correct.
But on the other side of the coin, there's so much more for you to learn. And that's really part of my framework when I'm talking to a lot of people. You got to understand, some of the people I talk to, I mean, they're running multi-million-dollar companies. Not only are they running multi-million-dollar companies, they have Ivy League educations. They've done amazing things. Their expense account is, in many cases, maybe more than my consultancy makes in a year. Correct. So from that standpoint, it's what can I learn from this guy? What could he possibly show me? I have all of these measurements of success, these indicators of success in my life. And I think when I come across people like that, my approach is always, okay, you teach me. I step in and say, you teach me. You teach me about your company. You teach me about your people. You teach me about your framework. You teach me about your issues and your challenges, because no one knows your company like you do. However, you can't be to your company what I am to your company. Only I, or people who do the work that I do, can take the information that you give to me and transform it. Many times people who lead in a certain capacity can't do it at that level because they're too close to it. And I liken it to being a museum curator. So not much of what I share is original content, because it doesn't have to be. I am simply curating what you give to me. I'm rearranging it in a different way so that you can see a totally different perspective. You're the same problems, the same team, the same strengths, the same challenges. Once we do some rearranging, you begin to see, whoa, there was something here that I was totally missing out on. The same goes for the entrepreneurial framework. When you take these skills, these gifts, these talents, these abilities, for the longest time, and I talked to a lot of my colleagues about that, a lot of the things that you've done in your pastoral context or whatever, say you're a project manager, say you're a C-suite executive, whatever it is, if you distill down those raw skills, talents, abilities, and gifts and rearrange them, you'll see that you have a set of transferable skills that can be leveraged just about anywhere. They don't just be leveraged at a Fortune 500, not just at a nonprofit. They can be leveraged anywhere, because everywhere needs the set of skills that you are using for that particular institute. You are a project manager. So many companies out there need that skill set. You were an instructional designer. So many companies out there need that skill set, need those tools. And especially if you were great with people, because everybody needs that.
Yeah.
You start having those conversations and say, hey, let's rearrange the artifacts in the museum of your life and look at them in a different way. People are amazed and they say, wait, I can offer something else in addition to what I'm currently doing. And that might not be necessarily being an entrepreneur in its fullest sense.
Yeah.
But I think to take something from you, Ricky, you have to become the entrepreneur of your life. What are the other maybe passion projects or other interests that you can bring into the ecosystem of you that can be fulfilling as well, and gives you a chance to use those gifts, skills, talents, and abilities outside of the central context in which you've used them up to this point.
Man, two things I want to ask before this. One, I'm going to say, I want you to answer the first question second and the second question first. Yeah. So, right?
all confused about
That's funny. Yeah. So, what do you think what's the number one drawback that you often hear about what people say? Well, you're like, okay, listen, you communicate well, you put a project together well, you have very good technical skills when it comes to the computer side, or you could put anything together. What is some of the drawbacks that you hear from people that they're saying, well, I just can't do it because X, Y, and Z? And then the second question is for you or Ricky, man, how do I get these lights in the background? Like, I'm feeling naked right now, man. I'm looking at you guys' screen. I'm like, man, these guys got it together.
Go back about 9 months and look on the tube of you.
Yeah.
Look on the tube of you about 9 months ago. You'll be like, what? What? Is that a bed sheet in a? Everything's a work in progress. Everything's a work in progress. I would say that the drawback that most people deal with, and I talk about this in my book, Leading While Scared, fear. So let's talk about a practical marketing framework first.
Okay.
When I work for a company, it's the company name that gets me in the door. It's the company name that gets me notoriety. If I am looking to present, say there's a conference, an industry conference somewhere, wherever random place in my particular industry, and I fill out a call for speakers, and I say, they'll say what, current job, and I say, I'm a project manager for Under Armour.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which we live. They're gonna consider, because of the brand name that I'm leveraging, which is Under Armour. Say I want to leave Under Armour and start my own whatever company. Nobody knows who Pierre is. Pierre, what? There is a fair amount of effort that has to go into building awareness. There's built-in awareness because of the company I'm connected to. Once you leave that, you have to spend an exorbitant amount of energy building your own personal brand awareness. And that becomes really difficult because the major piece is fear. Yeah. So here's a story, right? Because I got 1,000,001 stories. When I was pastoring in Kentucky, there was a consulting firm. After I wrote my first book, Leading While Green, a consulting firm got wind of it. And they said, hey, would you consider working with us under contract? Like, hindsight's 2020, right?
Yeah.
Work with us under contract. We'll work around your schedule. We'll make it happen. At this point, I didn't know anything about the world of consulting in that way. And I'm leading a couple of congregations, small churches, and I got, 2 kids and all of these things going on. So I say to them, no, I can't. There's just not enough time. I got a couple of churches. I got 2 small kids. We only got 1 car. It just wouldn't work out for me. I couldn't make it work. What's the real reason I turned them down?
Fear.
I was afraid.
Right.
You didn't think you had something to really offer.
I was like, I'm a 30-something, and I think I was like 31, 32 or something like that. I'm an early 30s Black kid in a small, predominantly white town. And this majority white consulting firm, come hang out with us. We'll teach you the business of management consulting. I was like, what if in my head, what if I get in a room with a client and I don't know what to say?
what to say.
Or they're like, we got you. You don't know what you're doing. What if that happens to me? And
Imposter syndrome.
those were the things that imposter syndrome took over. And I was like, nah, I can't do this. Fast forward. Fast forward all these years later. I don't even think about that. I don't even think.
Right.
What if I step in a room and someone says, gotcha? I'm like, I got you too. You know?
I did it. It worked. Like, it worked.
But that fear, and I was talking to someone about on a podcast episode I was recording earlier today about the same thing. I said a small part of that comes with every proposal I write for a company. A small part of that whispers in my ear and says, Pierre, are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where leadership of self comes in. And that's a learned skill on my success journey. Leadership of self, telling myself, coaching myself, yeah, you got it. Or you'll learn it. Sir Richard Branson, one of my favorite quotes, my like bucket of leadership quotes, one of my favorite ones by Sir Richard Branson, the Virgin Mobile guy. And he's like, rough paraphrase, if someone offers you an incredible opportunity, say yes and figure out how to do it later.
Come on. Oh my gosh. I live by that.
So
listen to this.
say yes. Like,
figure it out.
What can happen is it doesn't work out and you learn something.
Yep.
That you can turn around and pivot and leverage in the future. And I think about all the things that I said no to because I was scared. And now when I talk to people, when I coach them, when I do the keynotes, when I do the organizational training, when we're creating a leadership development plan for your emerging talent, that fear piece is the most consistent obstacle in all of my work that I've helped people wrestle with the most consistent one. I'm afraid.
So talking about that fear, right? You went into pastoring, and then you came to a point, and I remember you preached about this a while ago, and that would have really touched me because a lot of times you don't see a lot of pastors step away from the pulpit and go full time. Either they're doing both or, trying to make it work or just staying where they are. Right. Yeah. But you said, hey, my calling is different and I have to fully embrace this. But talk about that fear element of stepping out on your own. Like now I'm pretty much eating what I kill. Oh, and your family's still there.
There's man. Like you eat what you kill, right? And I think part of the fear framework has a lot of people looking at marketing and promotion the wrong way. The idea of being the best kept secret is the worst thing ever. Like if people don't know about what my family my family doesn't eat. And I have a growing my family is growing, not numerically. No. My oldest is 13. My youngest is 11. They're growing up and growing into young ladies, and there are things that they need, and I need to be able to support them with. And if I don't hop on phone calls and say, hey, Mr. Madden, would love to chat with you about what are you doing to develop your emerging talent. If I don't hop on the phone, however uncomfortable I feel, or if I don't send that email and say, hey, Mr. Venters, I appreciate, the work that you're doing. I'd love to connect with you about possible synergies in us working together. If I don't have those conversations and deal with the oodles of rejection that come along, I'm the chief sales officer of this thing. If I say I'm too afraid to call or email or to make the video or even to hop on a podcast, then we get evicted. And fear of being evicted
is greater.
My fear of not having food, greater.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My fear of my wife leaving me for a rich doctor. She's stuck with me. that fear is greater than the fear of somebody rejecting me or the fear of somebody saying, oh, there's a better speaker or a better presenter. Or a lot of times it just comes down to networks. Really, it's people you know, like, and trust. So if I haven't developed any relationships that allow me to be top of mind whenever someone has a particular issue, then I can't be upset when I go on social media and I see this person speaking here, training here, this picture on Instagram, or this person just won this government training contract. What is my why, and what's my greatest fear? And my greatest fear is not being able to take care of my family. Mm-hmm. So there's no way I'm going to be afraid of executive from XYZ Corporation. Wow. Mm-hmm. Afraid of XYZ Corporation president, or afraid that we have to move out of our house? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a bigger fear. So if that means I got to go and shake his or her hand and introduce myself and get my business card and write a proposal and make a video and do all that stuff so I can get a 5-figure contract so I can do this work for the next couple of weeks, well, that's what we're going to do.
Correct.
Coach ourselves up. We're going to give ourselves a pep talk. We're going to, write our own affirmations. Mm-hmm. We're going to get it done.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Man, that's so key, man. What fear is greater, and I don't think a lot of people take the time to analyze it and really look at the big picture of life. Now, granted, some people are, they're fine where they are. I mean, Marlon and I will always talk about that. But when you have that thing inside of you that there's more out there. Like, I'm on my journey, and in my journey, I had a dream of getting somewhere, but I'm at the gas station, right? You're not gonna take all your stuff out of the car, all your luggage, and stay at the motel connected to the gas station. No, because you're on your way to the beach, right? But it's just I'm tired. I think I'm good. This is where I'm at, and this is we want to be. This is what was handed out to me. This is good for me, right? And I think that fear point that you brought out there, which one do I fear the worst? Because you didn't say fear is gone. Travelers realize that he didn't say the fear is gone. Is that which one has a greater impact on his life in terms of that fear factor? And that's knowing like what your main priorities and what you're really going after in life, what means the most to you, right? Man, this is powerful, man. I really appreciate you sharing all this stuff. It's it's striking a chord. Travelers, I don't want to say this the wrong way, but man, Marlon and I, we use this as our therapeutic hour.
Correct.
It's something we're doing, something we're building. We selfishly bring people on, like, hey, let's get him to talk to the world, but he's really talking to us, man, and because we're on the journey as well, and we're on a journey with you guys. So we really want you to just really hear what is being said here and embrace it. Now, Pierre, I want you to share with everyone, and we're not done yet, but I want to share with everyone. You mentioned your book a couple of times. I know you've written more than one book. Share where they can get that material, and where they can also find you to connect with. I know you say you do coaching, consulting work, things of that nature. Share that kind of stuff. And I think Marlon may have another question or two before, and then we'll wrap up.
You can find my books on the platform that helped a man build a spacecraft. Amazon.com.
That's so crazy to say, right? Wow.
Like, every time somebody buys a book, Jeff Bezos gets it. But I'm not mad because he has the distribution channel, right?
Yeah.
Amazon.com is 2 books. One, the first one that I wrote, the one that really was a catalyst for all of this stuff for me, is Leading While Green, how emerging leaders can ripen into effective leaders. And then the follow-up to that is Leading While Scared, how to find the courage to keep going. Both of those are available on Amazon.com, and you can hang out on PierreCQuinn.com. That's my website. I would have pierrequinn.com, but I think like a skateboarder in Canada has that. And
We're gonna have to take him out, man.
right. There for my middle name, pierrequinn.com.
Love it, love it, love it. We'll make sure everyone that's in the show notes so that you can all access those links and support him. It's not just support him, but if you have teams that are out there that you feel that are emerging leaders and they need to understand, hey, how am I leading while green? We all organizations have those individuals that are transitioning from that project management to program management to director level to executive level, and for the first time you're in that seat, right? And there is no cookie cutter way to how to deal with these situations. So that material definitely will help them open their eyes to see the different perspectives and just learn how they can grow. Well, go ahead, Marlon. You had another question before we let Pierre go here.
Yes, I have a very important question, because I think this is really, all that you're saying is, like Ricky said, this is therapeutic to us because it reaffirms, it helps us to move forward, all the different things that we are juggling and thinking about, those fears that help us to go forward too. But we're also fathers with children, right? Yeah. And you mentioned 2 girls. So I also have 2 girls, but I have 2 boys. I know. Yeah, I've been I've been having fun, but in this space, and I know nowadays you say something and the feminists, they get on you. I don't want to seem like I'm targeting females, but he has 2 daughters, everyone. He has 2 daughters. The social media era, you said one is moving into that 13, the teen ager. How are you approaching that? Because you're counseling others. How are you helping that, you and your wife in tandem, working towards making sure that the outside noise, which is really loud these days, is not affecting your castle?
Man, so there's always going to be mixed messages that come through. And one of the things that I make it a point for me to do is to be in my girls' space. Not invade their space, not dominate their space. As young ladies, they need their own space, but consistently showing up in their space, consistently taking interest and realizing, you all of us have children. Like, you're not cool anymore. Just hang it up. You're not cool. And your children will laugh at you because you don't know the trends for their age group.
Correct.
So what I use that as an opportunity is for my daughters to actually teach me. I might mispronounce the words. I might not have the right influencer. I just don't know. But I maintain a healthy interest in what they're doing. And I mean, it's funny that I don't know this particular thing. And what that does is, yes, there are a lot of competing voices and competing attentions that come in, but I want them to see that no matter what, my dad's voice, if I choose it, will be the most consistent and most reliable. So it's not just, hey, what are you doing? What are you watching? It's, hey, what do you think about this? What's your perspective? And then the actual invitation into my world, so that plenty of times my daughters sit down in front of the camera and in front of the computer. They come to me on engagements and when I was doing book tours and seminars, they're there in the front, and not just that, they're participating and contributing. They're integrated into my world. They're not just a separate thing, but also my willingness to be integrated into the confusing world that they live in as young ladies, and I think it comes back to what I was saying before, humble and hungry. My willingness to be taught by them and to be guided by them as I want them to be taught and guided by me. And one of the biggest things, man, apologizing when I mess it up. Now, I come from a context where that didn't know apologies.
Apology.
You better be glad you still breathing. But there have been times where I've just been wrong. I've just been off. Like for whatever reason, my own frustration, my own irritation, or just bad judgment. And the willingness to go to them and say, I was wrong. I'm sorry. First of all, it's a terrible feeling. Like I turned 40 and I'm talking to my 13-year-old daughter. I messed up. Please forgive me. I messed up here. But I noticed several years ago, I yelled at my daughters for something they didn't do. And I remember apologizing to them. And I saw in their eyes, they looked at me differently. They looked at me differently. So now, even now, when there are times when I come down hard, I'm hard on my girls. Like, success journey for both of y'all. This is about success journey. But then inside of that, there is that love and warmth and respect because they know where I'm coming from and they understand if dad doesn't get it right, he's going to acknowledge it. And our relationship dynamic, like I'm so close to my girls, it's crazy. And I realize that I have to be open to where they are in life.
Yeah.
And when the moments come of openness, whatever's happening, yes, I'm running a business. Yes, all these things. Yes, life. But when the moments come for openness, diving in all the way. So if that means, they're throwing jokes my way the same way I used to throw jokes at my parents. If that means you should see the top of my laptop. It is covered. Y'all is covered with stickers.
Walls.
Like I'm sitting in a meeting and there's like all of these stickers on top of my laptop. My girl said, "Hey, can I put stickers on your laptop?" And I said, "Sure." I mean, as long as the laptop still works. So I look for those moments where there's that invitation into their world.
Yeah.
And I dive in, as well as consistently being, even on the nights where I'm upset or they get upset. I still go to their rooms and speak to them.
Yeah.
That's an emotional maturity thing. So there's no way I can be in front of a corporate audience or be in front of a training client and say, yeah, even if you have a bad day, you need to acknowledge the humanity of the people that you work with. That's just pure respect. And teach that thing and preach that thing and hammer it in and tell these great stories to my corporate clients, and then come home and my daughters I get irritated at them because they didn't wash the dishes or they threw some slime on the wall and messed up the wall, and then not speak to them before we go to bed because I'm upset. It's things like that I don't want my daughters to see a difference between the person on stage and the person that tucks them in the bed at night. I do not want them to see a different person.
Yeah.
I want them to see, I trust that person on stage that's my dad. That's actually who I see and who I hang out with. And the person that tucks me in at night, that's the person who speaks with warmth and intentionality on stage. And I'll tell y'all, I'm a work in progress.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Me too.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Man, Traveler, that's it. Pierre Quinn came and just graced us today with just his journey, the behind the scenes. Give us an opportunity to share his journey with us. Man, I am frozen. Hold up, let me pause this real quick. Oh, my camera shut off.
Yeah, the camera shut off. I hope you're saving this clip for
Yeah, I know, right?
Man, I can't get nothing done. Ricky and his internet over there. You got a turtle in the basement running his daggone.
Exercise bike.
Yeah, right. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's see here. There we go.
You're back.
There we go. All right, here we go. So, travelers, man, that's it. We come to the end of another show, and we just want to thank you so much, Pierre, for just sharing your story, sharing the behind the scenes, sharing what the life is like on the stage and off the stage, in the home and out in the streets. I mean, and that's what our travelers need, because a lot of times our listeners, they feel like they're alone. They're in the everyday decisions of everyday making decisions, and they feel all that pressure, and they feel like, man, how am I going to do this? There's no one for me to reach out to. There's no story for me to relate to. So Marla and I, we really look at this as adding that one more story to their life as an example. That one more story as an example. And everyone out there, we know this is not a biblical podcast, and I don't assume that everyone knows those stories in there. But I do know, just like the Bible and the Quran and everything else that everyone else reads, it's a compilation of stories, right? It's a story to give evidence of something, stories to give you so you can develop faith, stories to show you that people also too have gone down similar journeys that you have gone through, and that they had made it on the other side. And that's what we're doing here, building those stories up for you. So we just want to thank you for tuning in with us every single week. And we want to hear back from you. You know, thanks for all those that have leaving all those great reviews on our, especially iTunes. You guys are going crazy on iTunes, which is great. Appreciate it. Keep leaving those reviews, leave those comments, shoot us those emails. Let us know exactly what you want to hear. If you have some guests that you want us to bring on and interview, by all means, you know, we'll go after them and we'll do it. So thank you so much for supporting us in that way. Also, thank you so much for supporting us and buying our products, the bags. People are getting back to us saying the bags are phenomenal, best bags that they've ever had. We love hearing that kind of stuff. So, and then the shirts as well. You know, people are loving the shirts, rocking the shirts with us because it has a message. My wife and I were stopped the other day while we were walking in the neighborhood, and they're like, wait a minute, what does that shirt say? Blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, wow, you're walking as a walking statement, right? And people it starts conversation as to, you know, who you are, what you're about. So keep supporting us as we continue to support you. And we will see you guys next week at the same time on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
Good luck.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.